Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mac. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. And if you are returning, thank you also. I'm super excited. This is the third and probably final video of the tarot series, but before I get into all that, I just want to remind you that I do have a social media presence. You can follow me on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Facebook. Find me at Mac Guerrero. You can also check out mysticalmac.com for a little bit of information about my daily blog, my tarot card readings, my podcast, which by the way also comes out on my YouTube, and yeah, have a blast there. Check that out. And without further ado, let's get into the third video of the tarot series. So I don't know where you guys are, but where I am in California, we are currently, self-quarantining. We are social distancing to our maximum. And, well, things are what they are. But we can still learn about the tarot deck, and we can still fill our minds with information. It's actually the best time to fill our minds with information that can hopefully help transform us into, better versions of ourselves, or rather just wiser versions of ourselves. So last time we talked about the minor arcana, and by the way, if you haven't watched the first video, the intro to the tarot, and the second video, the minor arcana video, I suggest that you go ahead and watch that and then come right back here and we can talk about the major arcana. Now, you may be wondering why I pulled these two particular cards. Well, the major arcana is made up of 22 cards. Remember how we said that it makes up very little amount of the deck? Yes. That's about as much of the deck as it makes up. And these are the beginning and the ending cards. But remember that all of this is a journey. I'm like literally flubbing up words so much right now, but I'm not even going to start over. This is going to be a thing. We're going to do it. So why did I pull these two cards? Because the Fool begins the major arcana. And the World, this is a very interesting depiction of the world. The World ends it. Now, the major arcana talks about big events and big decisions in your life. That is why a lot of cards like, not a lot of cards, but that's why like certain cards, like the Death card, is in the major arcana. That's why the card of the Sun is in the major arcana. That one in general kind of represents happiness, whether it be a happiness that we find within ourselves or recognizing happiness in places that are outside of us. Depends on the reading. There is the Lovers. So these are cards that can help you understand and kind of make sense of overarching decisions, overarching themes in your life. That's probably why there isn't that many of them, whereas in the minor arcana you've got the 4 suits and you've got 10 number cards per suit and 4 court cards. It serves a purpose of narrowing down, whereas the major arcana kind of serves this purpose of showing you the bigger picture. I did read at some point or another somewhere that if you have about 3 major arcana cards in a reading, it can allude to some sort of past life struggle or some sort of past life parallel. Not sure how accurate that is, but I have kind of paid attention to that over time, and there might be something to it. Now, I just want to talk about a little bit about the beginning and the ending cards, because in the major arcana, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Personally, like as far as teaching about the major arcana, there's a lot less to talk about, because it really just depends on where these cards are going to land in a reading. Whereas the minor arcana, we can talk about the suits and how they correspond to the elements and how the court cards mean this or that, or how the numerology means this or that like we talked about. But the major arcana, it's going to be more reading to reading, spread to spread. But I can tell you a little bit about the beginning and the end, and I can also pull out some of my favorite major arcana cards. So, the beginning is the Fool, literally the number 0, and right here, new beginning. The Fool is one that kind of dives without really thinking. He's just ready for an adventure, and he's going to get it. And that kind of like represents like how we are at the beginning of our new adventures, So you might get the Fool if you're starting a new job, or if you're, just really starting anything new the Fool might be a card that is present, but something that impacts you greatly. I really enjoy that they put the Dolphin back here. We are never unguided. We are never left, behind in the spiritual sense. Like, there's always going to be some sort of spiritual guide and love and protection kind of like pushing you forward and carrying you forward, so long as you allow yourself to hear that. So I love that we have kind of like an animal guide right here. Now, the ending of the Major Arcana is the World, number 22. Number 21. So this is a really interesting depiction of the world. Like I said before, normally it looks a lot more worldly. It's hard for me to explain. But I kind of like this idea of, like, it's almost like the world is his to behold. And that's really the World card. That's really kind of what comes forth when you usually when you pull it up, is like you have the world at your fingertips, you have the world at your hands. What are you gonna do with it, kind of thing. So it's like you start as like this newcomer, this fool that just kind of leapt into something without even thinking about it, and you end up with the world at your fingertips. Yeah. I'll pull out some of my favorite cards, and then I will be done with this video, and I will just add a fourth video talking about how to read, because I don't want to rush into how to read, but I kind of have this self-policy where I keep my videos under 15 minutes. So, don't know why, it's just a thing, or rather, I actually do know why. That was silly. I just lied. I do know why. It's a thing that I do. So, for your convenience and for mine. So I'm actually just going to dive into how to read next time. So check that out. And for now, let me just give you like a few of my favorite cards in the Major Arcana. It's very hard to choose. They're really beautiful cards, and they all make me feel some type of way. However, I really enjoy these cards, so I'll pull them out and show them to you. The Magician, that's actually the card that comes right after the Fool. I really enjoy it. And every Magician card, you can usually find all of the symbols of the suits of the Minor Arcana. The Magician takes these tools, so to speak, and he creates. He is an alchemist. He's the Magician. And he's here to remind you that you have agency, and you actually have a lot of power in your own hands. Hence his word right here, manifestation. So he's one of my faves. Another favorite is the Angel of the Ocean, which usually actually is the Temperance card. So this deck took the liberty of renaming that card. Usually in the traditional deck it's called Temperance. But I really just love this deck, or this card, because even in the Temperance card in the traditional deck, the angel that is holding these cups actually has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on land. So I love that this is represented here by the angel essentially having wings as well as a mermaid tail. And the card in itself, in a nutshell, signifies healing. Love that. I've got a few more for you, and then we are a go. You guys can go back to your Netflix and chillin', because that's what we do in quarantine. Next, weirdly enough, the Death card. I really love the Death card. It's actually, I'm going to save the Death card. I'm going to tell you why I love the Death card after these 2 cards. Ready? First of all, let's go with the Hermit. I love the Hermit. In these times, my Hermit self is just so excited. I think the reason I love the Hermit is because I identify with the Hermit, a person who kind of likes to stay within their own energy, likes to stay within their own space. I really do flourish in social situations that I personally, purposely put myself into, which is why most people a lot of times think that I am an extrovert. I also have a very extroverted job, being a server. However, and even doing this, even doing YouTube and things like, however, one of the beautiful things about doing YouTube is that I can do it from the comfort of my own home and from my onesie, so yay. So I identify with this guy. The Hermit, though, he's really all about contemplation, and he's all about taking the time away and with yourself to transform and to really learn a lot about yourself and as much of the world as you can through learning about yourself. So I dig that. Second to last, we've got the High Priestess. I love this card. The High Priestess is just awesome, man. She is kind of like the keeper of the scrolls, you know. No, that's just how they depicted her. But in a way, like, she does hold ancient knowledge. She holds this infinite knowledge of, you know, of emotions and of speaking your truth and of heart-centered intuition, essentially. And that's actually the word that is given here, is intuition. And I'm, you know, as much as I do listen to my intuition and I'm very sensitive emotionally, I tend to get in my head, so she's a good reminder that intuition lies in the heart a lot of the time. So. Now, let's go back to the Death card. So last but not least, but kind of not last anyway, right? The Death card. Why do I love this card so much, and why did I actually choose to make it last after pulling it first? Because I think that it's really important to end on this card, to end this video on this card. There's a lot of crazy shit going on right now. You know, there's a lot of things that are just kind of feeling out of our control. There are a lot of, I mean, this whole quarantine thing, you know, restaurants shut down. Like, I filed for unemployment. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, and you know, it is what it is. Things that are happening, things are ending, things are coming to an end energetically, and we're just kind of breeding a new beginning, you know. I don't believe that things are just going to go on as business as usual after this. Like, there's gonna be an awareness that we didn't have before. Not even just about, like, germs and whatever, but just about each other. Like, there's gonna be, hopefully, this sense of more community, you know, in a way, because we're gonna have undergone this together. Like, yeah, I love the Death card because in death, the next thing in the cycle is rebirth. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we are reborn after this. I'm looking forward to seeing how I'm reborn after this, you know? Like, choosing to do these videos, choosing to keep my podcast going. Yeah, man. Sorry, I just had a moment. I was like, my podcast, oh my God. But, like, no, I have about today or so to record it. But, yeah, like, choosing to continue my stretching, choosing to continue to work out, choosing to continue to eat well. I'm just... Hey, excuse me. Yeah, I'm all for the transformation. And the Death card is a great card to remind us of that. So thank you for joining me. I'm super appreciative of you here learning about the Major Arcana. I'm really excited for next week's video where we're going to learn how to read for ourselves and maybe a friend. A simple little reading and a simple little spread, and you are off with your tarot experiment. Thank you. I love you. Till next time.